Hello, every pony. This is Nightlife, and I am here to bring unto you Chapter 14 of Fallout Equestria Project Horizons. This chapter is called Strength. Yes, it is called Strength, because Blackjack is a very strong pony. Although not as strong as a certain other pony in a certain other Fallout Equestria fanfiction that is also very, very good. And I might just do that one after I get caught up with this one. Well, it's a long time coming, and it's called Fallout Equestria Heroes. Go look it up. It's really, really good, and it doesn't follow quite the same main character dynamic as the other ones do. Usually the main character is trying to be a hero, in Heroes though, you'll figure it out. Okay. So, yeah. Chapter 14, Strength. That was a truly feeble... I can't even get the flavor text correct. Why? Let us try again. That was a truly feeble performance. That was supposed to be Trixie's voice. I can't do Trixie. Her voice is so wonky to me. Oh well. I just had a liter of Coke, so I may be hiccuping, burping, or getting a frog in my throat. Ugh, or doing that. Partially throwing up in my mouth. Ew. Oh well, let's go. Let's light this sucker. How had it gone wrong? That was the question that kept bubbling up inside me. I'd come to Mare expecting to find calm, reasonable, and intelligent Morning Glory. I planned to take her to talk with her about mending things with P21, about the horrible recording and what it meant. About that horrible recording and what it meant. She'd try to help me work through it, though the thoughts niggling at the back of my mind. And I needed that help. Those patches I'd welded across the door weren't holding as well as I'd like. Now I was the one caring for Morning Glory. The confession Operative Lighthooves had engineered from her own words was damning to any pony who didn't know her, and she seemed convinced of its impact. In her own way, she'd been raped, not a violation of her body, but of her identity. Yeah, that's why I'm glad that fucker got ate by a raider and then brained. Which is punk slang for shot in the head. Yeah. Now, more than ever, I had to be the strong one. I had to be tough, confident, because if I wasn't, then we'd be eaten alive by the wasteland. So I threw some more wonder glue on that door in the back of my mind. Broke out the duct tape. Breaking out the duct tape always works, even if it's only for a little while. And hoped it could hold for a little bit longer. With the Enclave gone, we went through the locker room. I tried to show her the Marauders' lockers, but she couldn't have been more disinterested. Apparently, when they'd left, Sergeant Wind Whisper had pulled out some critical components. The lights were now dead, with the exception of the weak emergency lighting. The food was also gone, and many of the fine weapons had been carted away. Fortunately, there was still clean water for drinking and washing up. Glory found some bandages for her scarred flanks. I tried to explain to her how the Hoofington innovation sapped healing magics. The old Glory would have been keen for the details. Now she simply nodded and, without another word, went looking for healing potions instead. I really wanted Lighthooves dead. I wanted Deus dead. I wanted Ursery dead. I wanted Lancer dead. I really hoped it was a side effect of the Stampede, Hydra, and Buck all wearing off at once. I felt my limbs shaking as I stood in the shower, letting the lukewarm water wash away the blood, grime, and gore that had accumulated on me. I tried holding up the barding to rinse off some of the larger stains. I wanted to find a bottle of wild Pegasus, curl up, and sleep for a few days. I'd gone so long without sleep that I felt like I was floating. I couldn't. No matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't. Don't think about it. I fought the shakes as best I could, breathing deeply. Don't think about Scroodle torn in two. Don't think about my guts trailing behind me. Don't think about Tumbleweed's head being blasted open. Don't think about the Mind Boss exploding. I shook so badly that my legs collapsed beneath me. Not now. Not now. Don't think. Please. I don't want to do this. It took me a shot of Med-X and another steady to calm me down enough to stop wasting time about my to stop wasting time worrying about myself and help the pony who deserved it. I went and got Glory, helped her out of her Enclave uniform, and started the water for her. Blackjack? She asked, barely audible above the water. Yeah? Could you leave me alone for a little bit? Yeah, I said as I left her there in the wan glow of the emergency lights and tried to ignore her sobs. I glanced back at her, at those two burned lightning bolts where her sunrises used to be. The only ones I'd ever seen with my own eyes. The only sunrise I'd ever seen with my own eyes. I'll be useless, pointless, worthless. I sank back down to my rump and leaned back against the wall. Oh, I'm gonna stop just for a moment. This is going to be a double feature. That's right. 2 chapters today. And 3 tomorrow, because it's Friday, and I have Fridays off of everything. So yeah, that. I couldn't cry. Whatever part of me that enabled tears had been ripped out of me, as surely as whatever had powered the operations center that had been ripped. Why am I yawning so much? I just took basically 50 milligrams of freaking caffeine in the form of a liter of Coca-Cola, not Coke. Yeah. Glory finished her shower and stepped out, her wet gray flank showing the burns in terrible relief. Nothing else remained. Her sunrise had set forever. Together we went back upstairs. She never said a word, just covered herself in a blanket and sobbed for half an hour before she went to sleep. Me? I had another method for not feeling pain. Finding the bottle of Stalingrad's finest was the best thing that ever happened to me. Well, since I'd gotten to Mare. I unstopped the cap and took a gulp of the clean, biting vodka. Vodka. Oh, little side note. There is marshmallow flavored vodka. So basically rarity flavored. Yeah. My empty stomach clenched a little. I didn't care. I wanted to drink till I drowned out all thoughts and the terrors and failure churning within me. Oh. I drank till I was past doubts, fears. I drank and drank till I went past doubts, fears, concerns, failures, and nightmares, and plunged myself straight into merciful oblivion. She drunk herself into a stupor of passed out blackoutedness. Nightmare moon! I woke with my cheek in a pool of cold vomit. I couldn't tell if Glory was asleep or awake, but her back was turned to me. Hard to imagine that a day or so ago I felt on top of the world. Like maybe things were improving. I was such an idiot. I am such an idiot. I sat up as quietly as I could and finished off the last inch in the bottle. I hoped for warmth in my gut, but apparently there wasn't any to be had in vodka. Just a sharp bite that dulled the hurt inside me. Yeah, vodka grows and winter snows, and it's cold and shivery. You heard the song. I sang it myself. Okay, back. but my limbs stopped shaking at least. Kind of. I flipped the mattress over as quietly as I could to hide my mess. Let some other bastard clean it up, and went down to wash my face. The water was nice and radioactive now that the Enclave had left. Good. I need my eyes glowing right now. Before I'd gotten sidetracked playing Liberator, I was sent to get some equipment from the base. When I collected the contract from my notes, and sweet Celestia, how the heck does this machine know what is supposed to be a note? A tag appeared on my EFS. I picked my way down to the room marked Command. Oh. Thanks, Celestia, there was more power, enough power to open the electric door. Inside, it was clear the Enclave had been busy, planning biological experimentation on the surface, or just playing games. Playing biological experimentation on the surface, or just playing games. I didn't really care. The best Enclave pony I knew had just gotten her cutie mark seared off. The other two were bastards. Wind Whisperer might not have tried to blow my head off, but she hadn't raised a wing to help Glory. I poked around the technological remains of the command center and found a terminal for air navigation. Why am I yawning? It's 9 o'clock. What the heck? I had to keep moving. I had to be strong. I couldn't let myself fall apart. I couldn't deal with all those thoughts fermenting in the back of my brain, focusing on trying to magic out the screws on the side panel to help take my mind off things. I was a stupid pony. I shouldn't be thinking. Thinking is what got me into this mess in the first place. We do not always see the good we do. Yeah, Sakashi, but sometimes we don't see the evil we do either. The evil I did. Fuck! I shouted and slammed my head against the side of the terminal. Fuck, fuck, fuck! I shouted over and over again. Stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking! I felt blood trickle down between my eyes. Ugh, between my legs? Ew. Between my eyes, from a nick beneath my horn. I hugged myself and drew a slow, shaking breath. Dear Luna, was I losing my mind? Was this when the wasteland broke me? I couldn't do this now. Not now. But I could barely focus my magic to unscrew the rest of the screws in the side of a large terminal. I sighed, looking around with my amber vision before I spotted a side door. More desperate to act than genuinely curious, I rose and looked at the name over the doorway. Colonel Cupcake. Cupcakes. Very good fiction. Might read it one day. Cracking the door, I was greeted by the familiar smell of dust and decay. Clearly, the office of a long-dead officer was not high on the Enclave's repair and cleaning priorities. Trash from the operations center had been tossed into one corner, and I had to step carefully over broken shelves, ruined manuals, and useless clipboards. In the far corner was the desk with the skeletal remains of Colonel Cupcakes draped across it. His white uniform was now a solid gray, but the brass buttons still seemed to shine. His soul, perhaps? Yellowed pictures lay haphazardly across the floor, shaken free from the walls by the balefire bomb. I levitated one up, looking at the fat brown Pegasus with the white mane and tail, and the cake cutie mark. Beside him loomed, with his easygoing smile, the image of Big Macintosh. A second picture showed the colonel in uniform facing a squad of ponies and saluting. The marauders were right there in front of the line, saluting back. They looked so clean, so eager to get into the fight. The third picture was of an incredibly skinny and thin blue pony holding up a tray of cupcakes. The colonel, wearing a golden helmet, grinned at the camera over a caption reading, Guard Cupcake Eating Champion 10 years running. The last was of a lime green Pegasus wearing a string of pearls nuzzling up against him. The image was so strange. So not what I thought of when males and females were together. 99 brainwashing. Woo! You'll get it, Blackjack, one way or another. Somehow, I didn't imagine it, and I didn't imagine an officer as being a cupcake eating champion. When I thought of officers from our lesson in 99, I always pictured grim-faced generals with tons of medals, eager to keep fighting. Carefully, I walked around behind the desk and saw his safe. I fished out the key I'd found in the office above and tried the lock. To my relief, it opened, and there wasn't a ton of papers in this one. I'd hoped to find another silver bullet. Wouldn't that make my problems with Deus easier? Instead, I found 2 memory orbs, a revolver, some pre-war bits, a box of ammunition, and 2 folded pieces of paper. The revolver was for a much larger caliber bullet than my automatics. 357. Or was it 557? I don't know. The 5.57 Magnum revolvers from Fallout New Vegas are awesome. They're like little robots you shoot. Okay, let's go. I opened up the first note, glad to get a distraction. Glad for the distraction exploration afforded. Dear Director, you can take your request and shove it up your tail side. I don't care what investments you made with the Marauders. The buck was a patriot and a saint who gave everything for his country. His funeral will be at the Ministry Walk in Canterlot. I will be there personally, armed, and I will blow your damn head off if I see you if you set one hoof at the funeral. Sincerely, one pissed off cupcake. Underneath it was scribbled, "Not bad for a rough draft. Now time to write something I can actually send." I laughed. Despite how rotten I felt inside and out, I laughed. I wish I'd known calling him Cupcake. He seemed like a decent buck. I opted for it. I opened the second. To whom it may concern, I am writing this letter stating my intent to resign from the Equestrian Army immediately. As per terms of service 2355.221J and Article 12.1 of the Equestrian Enlistment Act, I have put in an excess of 10 years combat service and am entitled to immediate release from active duty. I wish to thank the Army for its support and diligence, but I can no longer participate in its operations. Big Macintosh, SN hashtag 23-110019-E. A smaller piece of paper was stapled to it. Thanks for the help with the legal parts, Cupcake. Hold on to this for me until I get back from Shattered Hoof Ridge. I'm sorry. Let's go on. I wondered if the rest of the Marauders had known. Suddenly, I heard my name called in a rather frantic voice from the hallway, saving me from thinking about the idea of a male giving up his role for his own intents. "I'm here, Glory," I yelled as I rose quickly, then grabbed the memory orbs with my mouth rather than risk a trip down memory lane. I scrambled for the door, slipping and sliding on the trash underhoof as I moved into the command center and then out into the hall. "I'm here. What is it? Raiders? Enclave? Ghouls? Crap. Where had I left my guns and Barding?" She stared around her and looked right at me. Then I recalled she couldn't see in the dark. I activated my pip-buck light. "I'm here. What's going on?" She stared at me as she shook and rubbed her nose. I woke up and you were gone. I didn't know if I was dreaming," she said, her eyes bright and wet in the glow of my light. "This isn't a dream, is it?" I hated that tiny catch of hope in her voice. Almost as much as I hated smothering it. "I'm afraid not, Glory," I said as I saw that little flicker die in her eyes. "Oh, I guess you can't ask if you're dreaming in a dream, can you? And dreams don't hurt." "Yeah, if it sucks, you're probably awake," I said, trying to get a smile from her. It wasn't happening. Her lavender eyes looked at me, in the wan light of my pit bug. You look really bad. Are you okay? Her lavender eyes opened up. Ugh, yeah. She just had her cutie mark burned off, and she was asking me if I was okay. I had to focus on the throbbing in my forehead to keep me from bursting into tears right then. Yeah, sure. I'm Aces. Did I just refer to my own cutie mark? I deserved a few hours of intimate time with Deus. Are you okay? No, she replied quietly. Make that a few days with Deus. But thank you for asking. What are you doing down here? Work. Well, actually snooping around, seeing what was left that we can salvage. But there's a lot about those. But there's that job about those electronic parts. I looked over at the partially disassembled terminal. But I'm all hoof here. Can you? Yeah, I guess that's right. All hoof. Does anybody know what that means? Please leave a comment. I am just drawing a blank on that phrase. Can you get these parts out? I'm pretty sure that we're not getting paid by the pound. Wouldn't that be nice? She said as a touch of the old spark returned. She pulled a screwdriver from her enclave uniform. I sat down beside her, giving her the illumination. She took out one screw, then looked at me and put the screwdriver down. What was your father like, Blackjack? Did he teach you cards? I moved my mouth like a mute idiot. Of all the things she had to ask, why that? It was like trying to talk with my heart. It was like trying to talk with my heart on a spit. Finally, I choked out, No, I never knew my father. Father was a word in stories for a buck who was a mare's permanent, devoted breeding partner. Somehow, I severely doubted that was what she meant. Oh, I'm sorry. How'd you lose him? She replied quietly as she opened the door. Some mare had taken him into security, given him his 21st dot, and stuck a needle in his neck until he bled out into a jar. Then he was tossed into a machine that recycled him into protein mixed with algae and fungus. Then we ate him. I jerked and slammed the back of my head against the terminal so hard I thought I blacked out. For a second. I wanted to black out. Glory jumped back, her eyes wide. I don't remember, I muttered, lying through my teeth. Sorry, Glory. I really don't want to think about Stable 99. I'm sorry. I thought it was your home, she said as she removed the parts. It is. It's just not what I thought it was, I muttered and then stood. Do you have enough light to finish? There's something I just need to go. Because I thought if I didn't, I was going to explode. And she didn't need to see me melt down right now. My heart beat so hard in my chest that it was getting hard to hear her quiet voice. Yes, and I'm sorry, Blackjack, she said softly. If I listened to you, maybe things would have been different. Yeah, it would. I wanted to tear out whatever part of my brain had thought. I wanted to tear out whatever part of my brain had just thought that petty, snide, hateful thought. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'll meet you upstairs when you're done, alright? I walked away without waiting for her answer. I couldn't stop shaking. I couldn't slow my thoughts, despite seeing everything in my piss-yellow gaze. Oh, speaking of piss, when you break someone down in acid, quite literally, your body breaks up into what is literally the chemical makeup of piss. So yeah, we're all full of piss, and we are piss, so piss off. Piss. I wasn't fine. I wasn't near fine. I was fucked up bad. Dying of radiation sickness. Dying of rad sickness bad. But Glory was worse. So I'd have to be better. I have to do better. That's what Fluttershy said. Where the fuck was I? Where had I been going? I rubbed my eyes hard, trying to focus and setting the world spinning. I sat hard, my rump landing on a layer of thick, dried blood. My eyes saw the bars, the bodies within, the raiders. I sucked in breaths, still reek. I sucked in breaths, still reeking of fetid air, waste, and rot. I saw a minty fresh's headless corpse, what hadn't been pulled inside. I saw the raider with the burst belly. Wow. Her face frozen in a righteous grin. The dead Dashite whose name I'd never known. I'd have vomited again, but I couldn't move and had nothing to bring up anyway. At the rear of the cell was the bones of a pony, a unicorn, blackened and twisted like melted wax, his mouth wide in a scream, a hole through his skull. How could he scream like that? How could he look like that? I could imagine my bones melting and twisting inside me. No. 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 I'm not you. I'm not dead. I'm not walking down that bridge yet. I whispered into the still room to the motherfucker with the cards as tears ran down my cheeks. Glory needs me, and I need to talk to P21. After that. Fucking after. Then you can take me. Not before. You hear me? Not before. I couldn't walk, so I'd crawl. I did everything I could to force myself to my hooves. I made my way to the infirmary, but I doubted that healing potions or the like would do me any good. Then I found a little tin marked Fixter, for those next day regrets. I tucked away in a drawer. It was either a painkiller or a contraceptive. Either way, what could it hurt? I had to look up 2 of the tablets because my magic was both a painkiller or a contraceptive. Really, Blackjack? Really? Well, either way, what could it hurt? I had to lick up 2 of the tablets because my magic focus was shit. I chewed, I swallowed, I prayed. Bit by bit, the tremble stopped. My racing heart calmed its pace. I took a few deep breaths so I didn't feel like I was drowning. I lay on the floor of the infirmary, praying that Glory didn't find me like this. The cool towels were nice underneath my cheek. I heard dusty cards being shuffled as I closed my eyes. Go away. I'm not in a happy, crazy mood right now, and you're not real. This was definitely more of a fucked up, crazy state I was in. The old buck shuffled the cards deftly in his hooves as he sat on the examination table. His cobweb gray mane and blanched coat were a small improvement on the bones. His raggedy hat looked like Applejack's after I'd seen it after it'd been run over by a mutant dragon. He just looked at me with the softest of grandfatherly smiles. Oh, well then, I'll just come back at a better time. How was 4:30 for you? I lay there and damn me, I chuckled. I didn't expect my crazy to be funny. Now go away. I'm trying to pull myself together. Yeah, I noticed that. He rasped in his feathery voice. Not having the best of luck with that, are ya? Too many chems, too much stress, not enough sleep. I muttered, feeling less bad as the fixture worked its magic on me. The chem seemed much more resilient to enervation than healing potions. Any second now you're going to go away, then I can tell Get Glory, and we can get the hell away from this place. Well then, I won't keep you, he said as he tugged his ratty cowpony hat over his eyes. Just wanted you to know, you're going to have to think about it, and just my advice, you're going to have to listen to those last 2 recordings before you meet him. I closed my eyes. There's no point. I already know what I did to him. I know he'll never forgive me for it. No doubt. But what exactly is he going to not forgive? He chuckled, and I looked up at the empty table. Deus, bounty hunters, radiation, ghouls. Right now, I'd be glad to lose my life to the wasteland. The last thing I ever expected was to lose my mind. When finished looting everything that I could carry that might be valuable, I searched the medical bay for more fixer, but there was none to be found. While Wind Whisperer had taken the guns, she left some ammunition. I was able to replenish my supply of buckshot. We found Glory's Enclave unicorn Uh, unicorn. Enclave unicorn. Glory has one. Enclave uniform and battle harness in her room. And I had to admit I was surprised to see her put both on. You're still an Enclave pony? I asked as I clenched my own down on my own barding. Whoa, yawning so much. Ah, fuck. I waited. There was too much of a delay. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm still gonna do a double feature for y'all. She closed her eyes as she straightened the black uniform. It's all I know. They might have put a brand on me, but I don't know what it means to be a Dashite, she said softly as she turned and loaded cartridges for her beam pistol and disintegration pistol into the cartridge slots along her back. Oh, it's very intuitive. I still believe in the Enclave, she said simply as she finished loading her pockets with cartridges, saving her saddlebags for larger salvage. How can you, after what they did to you? I asked as we went through the side door in the locker room. Because if I don't believe in them, then I don't believe in anything, she said with that hurting smile. I just wanted to hug her then and there. I don't know how she could do it, but somehow she was holding together better than me. Then I saw the tears in her eyes, caught the soft catch in her throat, and I knew exactly how. Layers of denial and pain. I put my hooves around her, holding her till she calmed. Broken wares and damaged goods. Some tear of the wasteland we were. It's only gonna get worse, Blackjack. It's gonna get worse. But, in that sense, it's also going to get better. I'm sorry, everybody. It's literally been a day since I've done recording, and for some reason, my uvula is swollen. And I keep trying to swallow it, and it hurts. It's very painful. Dehydration. Yeah, I has it. Or radiation sickness. Finally, though, we were back on the Sunset Highway, and I had to admit I felt better. Sure, there was still P-21 to rescue and flank, Deos to avoid, bounty hunters on my tail, and EC-1101 to unravel, but it felt good to be going somewhere. The rain had even stopped for a bit, though every now and then it threatened to drizzle. We were actually just north of the strip mall where I'd met Dusty, and could see Brimstone's Fall. It was clear that sometime in the last few days, Sidewinders had arrived and tried to storm the mine. There were a lot of bodies around those towers, and the bloat sprites and scorpions were having a banquet on the carrion. Ow! Oh. Now I could spot a dozen camps around the mine. It looked like Sidewinder had gone from attack to a siege. I wondered if I'd left just to doom Dusty and the miners to a slow death by starvation. Then, to my amazement, I saw a winged pony fly almost vertically out of the center of the camp, pulling a small sky cart. A few feeble pot shocks rang out, but the Pegasus was well out of range and flying west towards the rest of Equestria. Maybe it was just my mutant eyes, but there seemed to be something wrong with her wings. From a distance, they appeared almost skeletal. It's Dead Satan! Oh my gosh! Ow. 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 I'm drinking water, I'm sorry. It's gonna help eventually. Lying on our stomachs, watching, I noticed something I hadn't something that hadn't been in the strip mall before. Boxes. Lots of wooden crates that seemed to hold most of Sidewinder's supplies. We were surrounded by a simple barbed wire chain link fence. I smiled as I levitated out my carbine. My carbine. What are you doing? Glory asked as her eyes went round. Better, I replied, slapping a freshly loaded clip of bright red rounds. I sighed the boxes, and with a certain smile, I started to fire the rounds into the crates. Even though the boxes were wet, eventually the fire started to catch. The final trench was a crate marked with 3 X's which exploded. That ought to help Dusty Trails out. Shots rang out from the bar and cow pony livery, the cow pony livery store, as a dozen or so pecos began milling about. It only took a few seconds for them to spot the pair of us on the highway, and with a yell they raced towards us. Glory just looked at me, smiled, and shook her head. "What?" I asked with a crooked smile as I loaded a fresh clip into the raised carbine. Damn, but it felt good to be in an honest-to-goodness fight now. I could really practice my rifle work. I slipped in the sats and used magic to assist me in taking out the leader. A Pegasus head exploded a foot from my face. I swallowed as the rifle spat again and again while the spell reloaded. Moon and Glory waited for them to climb the highway embankment before firing alternating red beams and pink bolts of magical energy. This brings back memories, y'all. One Pecos ignited as the energy slowly transformed him into a crumbling cascade of ash. Her smile was the last to go. My legs staggered as my heart began to pound. I had to keep moving back. I did not want 3 Pecos beating on me with sharpened shovels and baseball bats. I didn't care how tough my barding was. The only problem was that my legs weren't working right. The shaking was getting so bad I almost couldn't move. I levitated out some steady and felt my jerking muscles relax as I swapped out the carbine for the shotgun. I watched the Raider's head disintegrate into bloody chunks as I fled through the tunnel. Through the tunnel of stable 99. She has so many issues. A Pecos whirled and slammed both rear hooves into me. I was knocked flying and landed on my back. His sharpened shovel rose and he reared above me. I started to pull. I started as my horn pulled out the dragon claw. The 6-inch curved blade slashed diagonally across his belly, and my horn glowed as I yanked out his viscera. Ew! Ew! I mean, I may enjoy blowing people to bits in Fallout, but damn, that's just nasty. He fell back, screaming for his mother as I stood there and just watched the bloody gray length around my hooves. Glorious beam silenced his screaming as my focus was lost in the and the claw clattered to the ground beside me. "Blackjack?" Glory asked in concern. I was losing it. I had lost it, and there were 4 more still attacking. "I'm fine," I lied. She was trying to be strong. I couldn't think about it. I could feel the cuts across my middle. Snip, snip, snip. I levitated up the shotgun and swapped in fletches. The big guy in the back reached for a burlap sack and started to toss sticks of dynamite as the other 3 used saddles armed with shotguns. The pump-action shotguns were larger than my own drum-fed model, and they had me skidding across the asphalt as my barding absorbed most of their impacts. "Fly, Glory!" I shouted as the red stick started to explode. "Yeehaw! I'm gonna blow you into chili!" the buck shouted as we fell back. Glory, however, remained grounded and tried to keep back from the worst of the buckshot. Her black Enclave uniform didn't offer nearly the protection my reinforced barding did. "Eat this!" I shouted as my magic gripped the next tossed stick of dynamite and floated right over to one of the gun pony's heads. He leapt aside as it blew and it knocked him off his hooves. I walked over, feeling my legs shaky despite the steady I had taken, and I saw I'd transformed his head into paste. I sat coated head to hoof in gore and in the blood and gore of 3 ponies. The shotgun fell to the ground as I staggered. The three were now focusing all their attacks on me, and only the metal plates in my armor were keeping me from getting pulped. Finally, the boss had opted against throwing more dynamite my way. More's the pity. There wasn't anything for it. I chewed down another buck and injected myself with Med-X and steady, trying to get some control over my body. My head, maybe Dash or Mentos. No time to experiment now. Not with my heart slapping against my chest and the Pecos shotgun shells. doing all they could to pound me into goo. Ow. I got my hooves under me and put some more space between us, letting the pellets spread dilute their firepower, while I went back to the carbine. Sats was up. I cued 2 bursts at one of their heads and was rewarded with the gun penalty dropping in their tracks. Glory's magical energy weapon liquefied the third. Boss ducked his head and turned, racing back towards the nearest camp and shouting for help. I got a few rounds in his rump, but I wasn't really in much of a state for chasing him down. My heartbeat thundered so hard, like it felt like tiny explosions in my ears. "You all right?" Glory asked, wide-eyed. I gritted my teeth together. I forced a grin. "Smile. Damn it." "Yeah, sure. Those shotguns pack a wallop, though," I said, grinning like an idiot as I sat on my rump. The supplies were cooking nicely, and while I'd liked to loot some of it for myself. I'm very sorry. I was glad not to be keeling over. "Think you can get those shotguns off their battle saddles? I'd like that kind of firepower." She frowned at me, but then nodded and rushed to the guns that were still intact. I closed my eyes, breathing deeply as my heart pounded and pounded. I shook out 2 more fixers and popped them in my mouth, chewing and breathing and recovering. They seemed to help. I might have taken a beating, but at least I was able to walk. Among the 3 chems, I was finally able to relax enough to examine the firearms. She returned with the two pump action shotguns, similar in design to the ones I'd used from the stable, but of a larger gauge shell. "Nice. Well, we should probably get going. I think Mr. Sidewinder is going to be put out with me for burning up his things." Glory was still looking at me funny, but I think I put on a convincing enough act to reassure her. She returned my smile, at least. Okay, I'm gonna take a small break. Okay, everybody, I am back. What wonders that Parable and Parabola by Tool will do, accompanied by a little bit of water. Still hurts to swallow, though. But well, I'll get used to it. Back to the story. A little page break so I could take a break. The Sunset Highway turned sharply east past the strip mall. On my right, the Badlands stretched to the south. Red rock and scrubland. To my left were the tangled weeds and dead trees around Huffington. The terrain was much more hilly, and soon we lost sight of the bonfire beside the mini-mall. The fixer was wearing off, and I could feel my heart pounding again. "So, why did you stay grounded that flight, Glory?" I asked to distract myself from the increasing pain in my chest. She started with a little gasp, looking up at me with her wide lavender eyes before looking away again, her purple hair falling across her face as she hung her head. "I don't know. I just couldn't. I wanted to. I tried. But I couldn't get my hooves off the ground." She gave me a worried glance. "What about you, Blackjack? You look terrible." "Yeah, my mom said the same thing when I was born. She told the doc to put that bun back in the oven. It wasn't quite done yet." Oh, Blackjack. She looked skeptical. "I don't think they can push a premature foal back in, Blackjack. There's muscle contractions that..." She got my cool "you are missing the joke" glance and looked flustered. Looking ashamed? "I'm sorry. I wish I was smarter like you." "What?" I turned to face her, and the world kept turning. I sat hard on my ass so I wouldn't fall on my face. "Why would you call me smart? I'm clueless, and I'm so clueless. I let a little cat monger charged me double just because she knew I had the caps. And let's not go into my tactical shoot, and shoot some more methods. Even if I look at the and even if I look at a terminal, it breaks. I'm sorry, I just took some dash and I'm high as a kite. Yeah. You knew the operative word was up. You knew that operative was up to no good, she said quietly. I didn't. I actually thought you were a little jealous of him. You were completely right. Now it's completely wrong. I silenced her, pressing my hoof gently to her lips. If I was right, it was only by accident. I'm not a smart pony. I'm lucky to remember which end of my gun goes bang. I said as I brushed her mane out of her eyes. You're kind of smart. Actually helps ponies. You got through school. You're a prodigy. You're not so good with so good with reading ponies. Your brain could kick my brain's butt with a brainy hoof tied behind its back. I frowned and rubbed my chin. Maybe my brain could win. I mean, it's got to be hard as a rock. You're a good pony. I felt a cold rush through my clench. I felt a cold chill rush through me as my stomach clenched. No, Glory, I really don't think I am. How can you say that? You're brave. Glory, courageous, clever. Glory, steadfast, loyal, compassionate. Oh, some pony likes Blackjack. Glory, that's enough, I snapped, and she jerked back, looking scared and a little concerned. I sighed softly, shaking my head. I did something terrible back in Stable 99. I didn't know it was bad then. I barely remembered even doing it until now, but say it, just spit it out. Tell her and get it out of you. What if she left? She'd be killed. What if she hated me? Right now, I could hardly stand. I let out my breath, looking away. Sorry, never mind. I'm just being stupid. I started to move, but my legs didn't quite get the message, and I staggered, tripped, and landed on my face. And then there was a green line of energy, cutting through where I stood only moments before. Get off the road, Glory! Green line of energy? Could it be that freaking awesome amalgamation of plasma and laser from freaking Fallout New Vegas? My God, I love that gun. Oh, how much of their DT it ignores. I shouted as get off the road. Get off the road, Glory. I shouted as adrenaline helped me move my shaky limbs into the ditch on the southern side of the road. 3 more shots laced out from the hillside ahead of us, but I couldn't see the shooter on my EFS. Either they were invisible, or that was one hell of a sniper. Laying there in the dirt, I heard a soft blip of a landmark being marked on my navigation program. Normally I'd have been scared, but the mark said. Normally I wouldn't have cared, but the mark said stable 90, and if the ponies there were just as fucked up as in 99. A stable? Here? Realistically, I knew the odds of there being a stable we could get into should be minimal, but I'd take them over being stuck out in the open with my legs shaking, my heart stammering, and my head spinning with the possibility of with some possibly invisible pony taking shots at me with a long-range magic beam rifle. Glory, this way! I said as I tried to run south towards the broken rocks that might offer some cover. If it hadn't been for my pet bug, I never would have found it. The tunnel entrance was wedged between 2 heaps of stone, looking like an abandoned mine. 2 heavy-duty rails ran underneath the door. Fortunately, it wasn't locked, and I pulled it open and stepped through. Once inside, I turned my lamp on to illuminate the tunnel, and the bones. Lots of bones. Twice I was sent sliding down a heap of bones and shifted. The down a heap of bones shifted. Let me try that again. Word for the wise, Dash does nothing for your speaking skills. Twice I was sent sliding when a heap of bones shifted underneath me. Finally, we got through the stable door, a huge 90 in the middle of the great round gear-toothed hulk of metal. So, how do we open it? Glory examined the controls next to the door, then rolled onto her back and started to dig at the underside of the panels. She pulled out some scrap electronics, duct tape, and a spark battery. Once wired in place, the console lit up. Well, it's got power. Try transmitting your Overmare's access command. I frowned and dug through the files I'd taken from the Overmare's office. Glory actually had to pick it up on the list. I transmitted it. It transmitted, and the light of the control flashed from red to green. There was a loud click, and then nothing. Well, it's unlocked. It's unlocked at. The door started slowly tilting inward. The resounding bang that made my teeth rattle. The heavy door fell on its back inside the stable. Within lay only darkness and silence and bones. Again, lots of them. The air was strangely hard to breathe, but that may have just been my own body. Step after step, we walked into the empty space. The reason the door had fallen had been simple. The hydraulic mechanism that moved and closed it was gone. This stable wasn't finished. As we walked into the atrium, we sat there where I saw were the barest bones of a stable. Walls, floor, ceiling, the balconies, but everything else was missing. Yet there were signs of ponies once living here. 2 huge piles were formed. Oh, poor kitty fell. But 2 huge piles were formed. One was scrap of clothing and luggage, the other, bones. Of course. Why wouldn't they all come here if the stable wasn't finished? Glory whispered, walking so close to me that our shoulders brushed together. I couldn't imagine. Wait. They didn't know it wasn't finished. No terminals, no wires or pipes or equipment. No wires talisman or air purification talismans. Nothing but bare metal. I could only see one door, and that was to the Overmare's office. We picked our way up the stairs to the balcony and the office door. Murderer, cunt, motherfucker, and other epithets. EPITHETS. Pronunciation in the comment, please. Were written across its scratched and dinged surface. Sure enough, it was locked, and I didn't have any bobby pins on me. I glanced at Glory inside, and pressed my horn to the lock. Twisting, tears ran down my face, and then there was a snap. The door handle came right off. I beat on the door, but it was no less locked. Great. Now what? I muttered. Glory stepped back and looked above the door, at a gap between the structure and the armored ceiling of the stable. Give me a boost? She asked, her wings pressed firmly to her sides. It looked like she still wasn't quite able to fly. Man, I need to stop doing Dash while I'm reading. Oh well. She asked, her wings firm. Oh yeah. I helped push her up to the space, and there was little metal clops as clop. Stop it, brain. Whew. Little metal clops as she walked over to the empty round window of the office. They were followed by noises of Glory slipping through the window. Then there was a click as she unlocked the door from the other side. Wow, I can't believe that worked. I muttered as I pushed the door open. The contents of the Overmare's office consisted of the Overmare's desk, a single set of bones, a suitcase, and several empty sparkle cola bottles, and fancy buck cake wrappers. Cavities meant for terminals gaped in the walls. There wasn't even a window in place. I noticed the wrappers had writing on the inside. I carefully smoothed out and went out and started to read. Day 1. Hello, my name is Buttercup, appointed over, appointed overmarist of Stable 90. If some pony is actually reading this, yeah, we're fucked. Sweet, sweet Celestia, are we fucked. I was notified by Stable Tech that the real overmare died in a skywagon accident 3 days ago. I've been told that the stable was furnished, and ready to go. I was even going to get a tour and inspection next week, and do our practice drills. I got a memo from the president of Stable Tech telling me how Stable 90 was supposed to be some sort of tech experiment. Newest pit bucks and terminals for everything. Then we got here and nothing. We had to push the door open and close it again. The locks are the only thing holding it on. I think there's no power, no water, no air. Yeah, did I mention we're fucked? Day 2. Things are getting ugly down here. Folks are screaming for my head. Any pony that had food and water has probably had it taken from them. There's been fights over bottles of Samurai Sarsaparilla and Sparkle Cola. God, I says, if they knew I brought a 12-pack with me and some snacks. I guess the radiation shielding is working, but because no pony has died. Yet. Day 3. Yet has arrived. The old and any pony who's sick. They're now yelling for me to come down and open the lock, but I know better. I go down there and I might as well slit my own throat. There's water, if you can call it that, from the sumps in lowest places in the stable. I wish it were bone dry. I know what's coming. Day 5. A mother begged me to let her and her daughter out of the stable. I told her plainly and simply that she could die here or out there. She wasn't happy. Oh, Celestia, was she not happy. I keep thinking about all the work I didn't get to finish. Like it matters now. We were supposed to have a visit from the VP, looking at the new tech coming at our office. The best of it is probably going to 98, 99, and 101. Vault 101. No pony enters and no pony leaves. Unless they got screwed too. Day 7. I guess a quarter of the ponies are dead. They've made 2 piles, one of belongings and the other of the dead. Too bad they're not thinking clearly. If they heap the dead on this side, then some of them would get the chance to climb up and kill me. Day 10. I'm thinking of killing myself. That'd be just right. I don't know what went wrong. Communication screw up? Willful fuckery on the part of Stable Tech? I think the only reason I don't is because I deserve to be the last. Cut that out, cat. Driving me nuts. I don't. Where was I? Okay. I think the only reason I don't is because I deserve to be the last pony who dies, so I can see this. I don't know if I'm responsible or not. I just know I feel responsible. I was with Stable Tech. The paperwork said 9 was finished. I toured 89 just to the east of here. What the fuck went wrong? They figured it out. Took them long enough. They've started to eat the dead. God, it's the smell. Everything here smells of rotten decay. Some of them are throwing body parts up here to fuck with me. I throw them back. There's an insanity here. Something snapped inside almost every pony, and as we slowly starve, all the rules have broken down. It's not enough that we're starving. Some of us have to kill. Day 15. My last fancy butt cake. It's banana. I hate banana. Funny, huh? What the fuck? Banana is fucking awesome. Okay, going on. The dash is starting to wear off already. Ugh. I'm not gonna do another one because it will just make me slur my speech even more. Damn inhalers everywhere. I think it's funny. The survivors have a purpose. The survivors have a purpose. Kill me. Or rape me and kill me. I'm not sure which. They howl for hours about what they're going to do when they catch me. The air's going bad, though. Funny, we might suffocate before y'all starve to death. Wouldn't that be lovely? I've stopped throwing the body parts out. I might need them before it's done. Day 18. The cannibals are eating their own. Are now eating their own. The corpses are spoiling faster than they can be eaten. The air is simply foul. Every breath tastes like shit. It won't be long now. I'm out of sparkle cola, I'm out of sparkle cola. I wonder what's left of the hoof. I mean, I've heard apple balloons say that the hoof is so overbuilt that nothing could take it out. I hope that's true. I hope we have one city left as a great fuck you to those zebra bastards. I watched the last two fight to death. To death. They're not eating each other anymore. I think they're just ending it. When it was over, the one survivor just looked at me like he'd lost. Just looked at me for hours and hours. Finally, he said, "My name is Muddy," and that was it. He just lay down and never got up again. Day 24. I'm done. Stable 90 is done. Or Stable 90. Shortest lived stable in Equestria. Thought of ending it. I thought of ending it. Don't deserve the quick end. This is Buttercup, acting over mare Stable 90, and these are my last words. Fuck Stable Tech. Our stables suck. No, those aren't my last words. I wanted to say, I put the notes back together again, carefully, and tucked them under Buttercup's bony hoof. I couldn't have imagined. These ponies had no more choice whether to live or die than the ones who'd been trapped outside the stable door. No, they had a choice: how to die. Priest had explained that to me. That how we meet our ends was a choice he couldn't take away. Buttercup had chosen to delay her death and bear witness to the end of the stable. Glory was looking at me funny. Blackjack, when was the last time you ate something? Huh? I'm not hungry. Especially not here now. Actually, even after walking all day, I still wasn't hungry. My appetite was just gone. Why don't you eat and rest? I suggested with a grin. I can take first watch. If that sniper finds this place, they won't be able to hide from my EFS. Then I looked at her burns and my smile became even more forced. You need to take care of yourself, Glory. You don't want to get an infection on top of everything else. She looked at me in worry and then walked over to a heap of Buttercup's clothes. A meager bed, but the best in this stable. Wake me in 2 hours, all right? She said quietly. Sure, I lied with an easy smile. She could use the rest. I wasn't going to be sleeping, not without some severe assistance from alcohol. She gave me one last lingering look, and all right, but eat something, please. You look terrible. Yes, Mom, I said sarcastically, but the concern in her eyes didn't fade like I'd hoped. She lowered her head and in a few minutes drifted off. She must have been exhausted. I wasn't much better off. I sat down next to Buttercup as the time crawled by. The shaking had returned. My heart still hadn't slowed down though at least it wasn't beating so loudly that I couldn't hear it. So loudly that I couldn't hear. I need to articulate more. Damn dash. Oh, crap. Okay. Let's go. A sparkle cola was enough for me. I really didn't need that much more than that right now. Sugar to keep me awake, water to keep me from getting thirsty, and I was good. Well, good enough. Ow. Get off me, cat. I'm reading. I looked around the room for something to stop my mind from wandering. An old newspaper talking about a scandal at the Ministry of Peace. Apparently some strings had gotten pulled, and some ponies were still sore about it. There was an investigation underway. The world falling apart with half-finished stables, and they were worried about mares calling in favors to be the first on a rocket ship. Small wonder everything blew to hell and stayed there. You look terrible, rasped the old buck beside me as he fanned out the cards between his hooves. I feel terrible, so it's appropriate. I muttered softly, not looking at somebody who wasn't there. Are you sure about that, Blackjack? Actually, I am terrible. Why beat around the bush? I glanced at the window and into the atrium, seeing the heaped up bones in the far corner of the room. Do you like doing all of this? Asking questions of your hallucinations is a bad sign, he warned softly. I've got to talk to some pony, I whispered. I don't do this, he said with a leathery sigh. I didn't make zebras and ponies go to war. I didn't make them lose their senses. I didn't make them blow the world to hell. You folks did that all on your own. You created me. And now, for whatever reason, you folks insist on perpetuating me. I can count the number of ponies trying to end me on one set of hooves. The others fighting me are just being pulled along. And there aren't even many of them. He stopped, shuffling and looking up at me from under his hat. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I didn't make those bastards burn her, or make you lie to your friend. Glory shifted in her sleep, hiding her face in her hooves as she gave a soft whimper. Then, with tiny little sobs, she started to weep. She shook, and I quietly forced myself to my hooves and walked to her. As carefully as I could, I tried to hold her without shaking her awake. Fortunately, my limbs decided to listen to my damaged brain as I held her. No, she whimpered softly. Mommy, no, please. I didn't do that. The old buck looked at me with tired eyes, and as she gradually stilled, her breathing slowed, and she eventually relaxed. I gave a soft sigh, stroking her mane as he muttered gruffly, I didn't do that either. No, but some pony did, I whispered. They should pay for it. You sure? So you're saying you'd push the button now? Damn. If you'd done that back at the mine, you might have gotten a chance to sleep in a nice bed tonight. He reached over and picked up a beer. With his hoof, somehow, but of course, it was a hallucination anyway. Yeah, earth ponies and their weird magic. How do they do that? I don't know. I'm a unicorn. I shouldn't worry about that stuff. But of course, it was all a hallucination anyway. Taking a sip, he watched me move away from the now quiet Glory. So is this it then? Are you a killer? Sorry about that. It's midnight. Yeah. He waved his hoof slowly in front of him. Blackjack, executioner of the wastelands. No, I'm not an executioner, I replied quietly. Well then, I suggest you figure out what you really are, while you can hold on to it, he said as he held the beer out to me. While there's still something to save. There's nothing in me worth saving. I'm sorry, but this picks me up my mane. What the buck is that? Oh wait, that's the dash inhaler. oh well. Let's go. Carry on. I've just got to take care of her and talk to P21, I muttered, bringing the empty sparkle cola bottle to my lips. I looked at the little purple cartoon unicorn on the label and sighed softly before. Purple little. Oh my gosh, is that berry punch? I hope it is, because that stuff needs to be alcoholic. Everything's better with alcohol. Or caffeine, but not the other, because that will make you die painfully. Or suddenly. Heart attack. Brain. Let's move on. And inside, before walking towards the door, I could really use a beer too. I made my way to the fallen stable door. I might have been in a body that was falling apart. What the fuck? Oh, I hit the wrong thing. 1 second. Okay. I might have been in a body falling apart, with a brain that was having conversations with a hallucination while my psychology flayed like a chipping saddle blanket. Well, like a cheap saddle blanket. But I didn't need to spend my night breathing stinky air. I looked at the remains of the desperate ponies trying to get in, and of those who had been desperate to get out. I reached out with my magic and levitated a little stuffed unicorn from inside the stable, and set it on the door with me. I had a unicorn like this when I was a foal. Like everything in '99, it had been passed down from my mother and grandmother. Only mine was purple, and this one was purple and white. The old bastard was right. I had a lot of hate in me. I wanted some pony to blame for all of this. Something that I could direct all my hate at, that wasn't, so that it wasn't eating me up inside. Something I could point at and go, there is the motherfucker responsible. Deal with him and everything will be fine. That's not how it works, Blackjack. Yeah. But the ponies who had been the cause of this were long gone. I rolled onto my back, feeling my spine straighten and groaning as I hugged the little stuffed unicorn. I can count the number of ponies trying to stop me on 4 hooves, I muttered, wondering if my mind wasn't trying to send me a hint. The stable dweller was clearly one. That was a pony fighting with every inch of her hooves to save the wasteland. She'd never lay around and mope like this. I bet she'd get on her hooves and kick her way through all this mess. No. Maybe DJ Pondry too, in his own weird way. I listened to his broadcast earlier on radiation and taint. I suppose innovation was a Huffington problem. He might not have had a shotgun like the stable dweller, but he was at least trying to help. That made me think of Bottle-Cap and what she had said. I hadn't really thought about it, given I wasn't a smart pony, but I think she was trying to end the wasteland too. She saw a way for trade to curb the impulses that tore down society. She might have been a business mare with an eye for profit, but business was a means to an end, and that end was every pony getting what they needed. Priest had to be the last, not me. He was trying to end the wasteland one soul at a time. He gave young ponies a home and a place to belong with the Crusaders. He cared. He genuinely cared for ponies, whether he knew them or not. How could he go on caring day after day for ponies he knew would eventually be gone? What kind of pony did that? Well, a dark and cynical part of my mind snickered, masochist. I had to admit, I couldn't do it. I was lucky enough to care about Glory. Slowly, I sat up and looked at the stuffed unicorn. The stable dweller wouldn't be afraid to listen to a recording. I muttered to the toy, as if it started talking to me, that was it. Get me a straitjacket. Talking to toys is where I draw the line. This is a reference to the lone occupant of freaking Vault 77. The puppet man. Yeah, I know about him. I sighed and selected the recording, BJ2, on my pit buck. I closed my eyes, getting ready for a kick in the gut. I heard the sound of unsteady foot hoofsteps. He says footsteps. Why the fuck do you say footsteps? These are ponies. They have hooves. It's hoofsteps. Somber. Hoofsteps. I heard the sound of unsteady hoofsteps and ragged breathing. From the echoes and whir of a gurgling ventilation and pipes, he had to be in the maintenance halls. Suddenly there was a rapid tap of hooves and an oomph, and the sound of two ponies sprawling. Hey, what? Wait, what's a male doing down here? I heard my voice say. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember this one either. I was stationed down in maintenance due to my frequent slips and discipline. P13, please, he begged softly. Sweet Celestia, what happened to you? I heard myself mutter. There came a distant shouting. Hey, where the fuck are you, you blue cock? Daisy's voice. I knew it anywhere. I still got an hour. Get the fuck out here. Her yells echoed off the concrete walls. Shit, come on, hurry. She's tracking your pit buck. My low voice was followed by the sounds of hooves on concrete. I knew the maintenance tunnels. Daisy didn't. I knew where the generators futzed up tracking. All the good hiding places. Okay, here's the plan. Wait here for her to go. Wait for the hour. And then I'll get you up to medical. Why are you helping me? He whispered. Huh? Why are you helping me? You're a mare. So what? I'd help any pony get away from Daisy. Besides, it looks like she tried to kick your head off. So, what did you do? She didn't climax. He muttered. What a cunt, I grumbled in return. No excuse to go damaging stable property just because she can't get off. As I listened to myself, I clenched my teeth and squeezed my eyes shut. Damaging property. Because I couldn't figure out then that he wasn't property, he was a person. A person getting beaten because he didn't push Daisy's buttons right. There was a soft pause. No excuse for that. It's not like bucks don't try to make it nice, I said in annoyance. What? Was there always this fucking chatty when hiding? We have to... What? We have to... If we don't, in medical, they give us the shock. The what? A shock. Till we can. Or drugs. Or they beat us. Or retire us. An awkward silence. Oh, well, I get double shifts if I slack off. We all have to do our job, right? I bit the stuffed unicorn to keep from screaming at myself. I had to work double shifts if it was bad. He was electrocuted or beaten or killed if it didn't please his rapists. Right. I could barely hear him over Daisy shouting. Shit, she's coming this way. Look, I'll lead her off. Have her talk to Rivets if she's seen you. Just stay out of sight. Thank you. Don't worry, it's the least I can do. There was a noise of me greeting Daisy and receiving a few profanities, a slew of profanities in return. Then the noise of our voices retreating as we commiserated on fucking males. Yeah, it is. The least I could do. More because I was interested in pissing off Daisy than actually helping the damaged property. Because once he'd gotten back into medical, they would have patched him up and then punished him for skipping out on his duties. I never got shocked no matter how much I screwed up. Mom never beat me with oh crap. Mom never beat me with a stick. Fuck. I'm pushing. Although she should have. And while some ponies threatened to kill me, I never took it seriously. I never really took it seriously. But now that I think about it, males were retired all the time. Not just for becoming the newest 21. You'd hear about some mare flipping out and damaging breeding equipment. You'd be mad. Not because some poor buck had been smashed, but because he might be pushed back in the breeding rotation. If a female died, every pony knew. When a male died, it was barely even mentioned. The least I could do. What could I have done? I could have put the beat down on Daisy. She was bigger and stronger than me, but I could have at least tried. I could have talked to medical. The ponies there freaked me out, but they might listen to me. Fuck. I could have talked to Mom. She was head of security. Certainly something about that fucked up stable could be fixed. Or I could have gotten a gun, killed the other mare, and then ended the whole sick game. I'm not an executioner. I slowly opened my eyes, looked at the stuffed unicorn with her fabulous purple mane. Rarity. Right now, honestly, I wouldn't mind some advice, even from a toy. Still, I doubt it would be of much help. Crazy hallucinations or not, they came from my crazy brain. Okay, I'm gonna take another short break because it's the page break. I need to do some lip exercises like Piggy Pie did. Okay, one sec. Okay, I am back. A little something to help me. Fixer. Yes, I am being facetious about all this drugs and stuff. Of course, I don't actually do any of that. It's just a little bit of fun, pretending. Right? Oh well, let's continue with the epic ballad of Blackjack. My misadventures of Blackjack. The marvelous misadventures of Blackjack. Okay. I awoke to the unfamiliar sensation of cloth draped over me. My eyes popped open to the furious beating in my chest. I flopped spasmodically and rolled to my feet. I'm up! I quickly looked around the entrance to the stable. Glory? Glory! I shouted as adrenaline surged through me. I took another step and my legs buckled, sending me sprawling on my face. Ow, I muttered, lying there. I'm over here, Blackjack, she said, waving from the stack of clothes and suitcase. An old spark lantern flickered beside her. I'm glad you got some sleep, she said, as she opened the suitcase and rifled through it. I fumbled with my pack for the tin of fixer and chewed one down before the shakes began. Sorry, I fell asleep, I muttered, finally able to sit up and trot over to her. You needed it, she replied with a smile, then looked at me critically. Come to think of it, you look like you still need it. It's not that bad. You need food, I said. I insisted and rifled through my saddlebag for a bottle of sparkle cola. You need food, not sugar. I'm fine, I insisted. I'm just having trouble sleeping. Not last night, though. I think I must have passed out. I sat down and watched her dig through the suitcase with a small smile. Find anything good? Yes, actually. Hey, well, you know, my uterus is not swollen anymore. Yes, actually, she said as she hopped down up the stack and nudged some magazines towards me. There's a scientific equestrian here, a big book of arcane science, even a Kid's Lot medical journal. I couldn't, and really didn't bother hiding my yawn. She sighed and then smiled. I also found an iron shard firearms catalog. Ooh, gimme! I said with a grin. Only to eat, she said firmly, pressing both forearms down on the magazine. I don't care what, but eat something. Then you can read up on your guns. Ugh, fine. My ears drooped as I rifled through my bag and came up with a fancy butt kick. Ooh, fancy. I could imagine the old bastard laughing. Instead, I settled for carrot crunchies. She gave me the magazine, and I couldn't help but grin as I buried my muzzle into the box and while reading over the top. Lots of photographs and letters too. I don't think they had a fire. Good thing that I don't think they had a fire. Good thing, or they would have smothered. I gave a general grunt as I looked almost a genital for a second. A general grunt as I looked over these these spectacular firearms in the catalog, and they were all new. Look, here's a photo of Fluttershy. Glory comment. Glory's comment made me pause. I swallowed and lifted my eyes from the page. There, she'd found one of the few things that could have broken my attention from the shiny bang sticks. A bang stick, yes. With orange crumbly bits stuck to my mouth, I trotted over and looked at the photograph. She's beautiful. Maybe that was a strange thought to have, but at least the cynical part of my brain silently agreed. She had a strange, wholesome appearance that made me feel good. She wasn't the little white unicorn beside her. She wasn't like the white unicorn beside her with her purple mane. She reminded me more of Midnight, so I guess that the unicorn kept her appearance through painstaking effort. Beyond them was the familiar image of my orange figurine, Blackjack. I tapped the hoof at the unicorn. That's Rarity? Mm-hmm. She looked different in my textbooks, I said as I glanced at them. The Ministry of Wartime technology was pretty cut and dry. They make guns. I had to admit, though, Applejack didn't look nearly as thrilled to be in front of the audience. I took it Rarity was practically thrusting both of them into the spotlight. What did her ministry do again? Glory reached over and bit the corner of my box of carrot crunchies, passing them to me before answering. The ministry of image was, well, actually, I'm not sure. They just did stuff for other ministries, printed books, arranged events. I couldn't eat. I continued eating as I flipped through some more pictures in the stack Glory had found. They were obviously professionally done. I saw the cavernous atrium of the Fluttershy Medical Center in all its beauty. So I guess that whoever took these had to be a photographer. Photo finish. One picture showed Applejack next to a green earth pony buck. Her large hat blocked my view of his face. Still, he was standing awfully close in most of these pictures. Apple snack? You will remember him from Fall Equestria as, well, I'm not going to spoil anything. Not this time. Wait. Yeah. Then I saw a picture that just confused me. It was Rarity standing in a niche off to one side, talking to some buck. He faced away from the camera, and all I could see of him were his white coat and golden mane. What confused me was the look on her face. She looked midway between shifting expressions from anger to something else, fear. And she did not strike me as a pony that showed fear lightly. Unfortunately, I didn't see other pictures of the buck Rarity had been talking with. Golden blood! As interesting as the pictures were, I didn't see them as particularly valuable. All they seemed to do was remind me that once upon a time life had been better. I gave Glory one more hour to pick through the contents of the suitcase as I finished browsing the articles in the front of the Ironshod catalog, watching her from the corner of my eye. I took another buck and steady while she had her head in the pile, and finished it off with another fixture tablet. Are you trying to kill yourself, black chick? I felt like I was almost approaching normal. With her bags full, we carefully picked our way back up to the surface. No long-range beams of death. Good. Instead of going straight towards flank, we moved along the edge of the Badlands. The broken terrain was a pain to navigate, but offered much more cover in the long run. Unfortunately, we'd barely been traveling for an hour when the fixture wore off. It had been growing more and more abrupt each time it stopped working. My legs gave out from beneath me, and my hooves scrambled for purchase on the slope. Grit and gravel popped under my hooves. He says feet in this one. Gosh, learn a Damn it, Summer, it's hooves! Hooves! Damn it! Rage over? I popped. My grit and gravel popped under my hooves as I went over the edge and tumbled down the rocks. I crashed at the bottom and lay there. My pip flashed little wings of little unicorn with their limbs and chest bright red. I clenched my eyes shut and I first took a Medex for the pain, then another Hydra. I felt the fractures in my crippled limbs slowly healing. I could see the bars slowly fill. I was finally able to choke down a tablet of Fixer to calm my beating heart. Blackjack! Glory called from above. For once, I was glad she wasn't flying. Limping on broken legs, I picked my way along the base of a slope until we met. Are you okay? Are you okay? Sure, I smiled. You've seen me. It'd take more than just a tumble a tumble like that to slow me down. I couldn't be weak. I couldn't. I got a peek over the edge and, well, got dizzy, I guess. We should head back to the road, Roy said as she looked at the next ridge. It was even higher and steeper than the one I'd rolled down. I couldn't argue. Right now, I was feeling delightfully numb as I was spared the discomfort of 2 broken legs and a busted set of ribs. If I'd had some Hydra on me when fleeing Stable 99, P-21 wouldn't have his limp. If I just had a safe supply of Fixer, this wouldn't be a problem. Making my way north towards the highway, we were lucky enough to come across some rusty, mineral-encrusted pieces of equipment that hissed steam and dripped hot water. Steampunk! Well, number 33, my pit book said. Pipes from the equipment ran up and over the rest of the ridge. I was more interested in the 2 dead steel rangers. Well, actually, I was more interested in the weapons and ammunition. If the device listed on our pit book or any indication, it helped our profits immensely. Still, something had to have killed them. What the heck is this? I asked, gesturing at the steaming mound of metal. Glory knew more about the machines than I did, unless it was a machine that went bang. A geothermal wellhead. A hot spring? Glory quickly amended. It pipes hot water into a town we're building. She smiled up at it. I was reading about them in Scientific Equestria. Huffington experimented with all kinds of alternate power sources. Geothermal, hydraulic, arcane spark reactors. Things that might have ended Equestria's need for zebra coal. Huh, I said as I looked at all the pipes and valves, pretending that I understood half of what she had said. It had a more healthy amount of rust and minerals, but it had more than a healthy amount of rust and minerals, but still seemed intact. Pretty impressive for the green energy beam punched right through my barding chest and my barding again. Oh shit! 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 Was all that went through my chest as my mind as my chest filled with fire, falling behind the remains of the Steel Rangers. I was surprised at how little the injury hurt. Maybe it was the medics, the regeneration from Hydra, or the fortifying effects of Buck, but I wasn't quite dead. However, I was certain I wasn't going to be moving for quite a bit. Probably, since I now had a pencil-thick hole lined with cooked meat running all the way through my body. Glory darted beside me, crouching behind the armor as she turned to me and turned me on my side and started pouring every healing potion she had into the hole. Don't move, don't die, don't move, don't die, she repeated as she over and over as I felt my body drag itself back from the edge. She took out she looked at the hole and muttered, "Shit, I don't want to use this, but," and pulled out an ampule of Hydra. Why wouldn't she use it first? I had no idea. But why she wouldn't use it first, I had no idea. I nodded and she pumped the wonderful regenerative chem into my chest. My heart and head started to pound as the magic repaired the most critical damage, but I couldn't slow my breathing as adrenaline coursed through me. Okay, I'm good, I groaned as I longed for. I was a long way from good, but I had just crossed from into shooting this motherfucker as many times. But I had just crossed into shooting this fucker many times territory. You were not good. I just injected you with Hydra. When it wears off, your heart could stop. Excuse me? Cardiac arrest was not on the list of possible side effects. Actually, I wasn't sure. Had there been a list of side effects? She dug in her uniform's pocket for a buck tablet. I hate to do this, but eat this. Yeah, good idea. Then let me have a tablet of Fixer. Slow my heart down before I pass out. Slow your heart rate? Fixer won't do that. It'd make a heart attack more likely. Put you in shock. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I saw the red bars appearing one after the other. All these mites and maybes, they're coming, and that sniper will kill me, and maybe you, if they get another shot. I said as I dug out my own tablets from the infirmary and swallowed one. I fumbled with some steady. Then I kicked myself when I realized I was about out of that particular chem. Now I need some steady and a plan. Blackjack, you've taken Hydra, Buck, and Fixer, and you want steady? You want to take steady too? Why not add some rage and dash to complete the set? Are you trying to kill yourself with a pharmacological reaction? Big words. Steady now. Big words later. Steady now. I said as my limbs spasmed. She looked more scared than me as she dug out her own supply of the chem and injected it. Fortunately, it had the effect I needed. I lay back behind the fallen armor. Okay, better now. Much better. Innovation or not, enough magic and chems have been pumped into my body to bring about my recovery. The sharp ping of a round ricocheted off the dead ranger armor, inches from my head. We got to get out of here, I muttered, imagining the gun ponies advancing on our cover while the beam sniper readied a killing blow. But if we moved, the odds were one of us were going to get hit. I doubted I could survive a second hit from that gun. There were rocks further up the valley that might offer some cover, but we had no way to reach those. Then I looked at the back of the wellhead behind us. The hissing little streams of white. Glory? Yeah? She asked, peeking to the side. This hot spring thingy. It's got steam, right? She looked back behind us. Yeah? A lot of steam? Maybe. I think so. Enough to cook us, yeah. Enough to hide us? She buried her face in her hooves and groaned. Oh no. This is gonna get good. I'm gonna tell you right now. We meet a certain zebra this time. Although she doesn't quite know she's a zebra, or at least doesn't act like it. Yeah. Okay. I pulled out my carbine and looked at the massive tubes and valves, and slapped in a clip of armor-piercing bullets. Ante up! I shouted as I took aim with the pipes and sprayed the clip back and forth. Scalding water and jets of steam burst out with a cry like a possessed key kettle. Key kettle? Get your key kettles right here! But like a possessed tea kettle. Great plumes of steam erupted in white, sulfur-scented clouds that washed over us. My hide immediately began to scald as the white mist boiled past. It was now or never. I took the Pekka's 12-gauge and raced out to the side, towards the first red bar on my EFS. Maybe it was the chems or the hole that I just got on my chest, or maybe my brain finally cracked. But as I charged towards the bounty hunter who backed away from the swirling wall of steam rising before him, time seemed to slow. I heard a saxophone start to play, and Sapphire Shores was singing a sad, lonely tune. I'm not gonna try to sing it. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Tonight, I feel your love has gone. I feel the same sad song. And without, okay, I'm no Sapphire Shores. I suck at this stuff. I suck at singing anything. It's not a bard. It's not a shanty. I slid towards him as his rifle shots went high, my knees churning up dirt and hot condensation, and as sweat dripped off my grinning lips. I pressed the barrel beneath his chin and removed his head, grabbing his fallen body with my hooves. I jerked it into the rain of fire that had followed me out of the swirling steam. You say your time has finally passed. You think this love can't last, but I'll prove you wrong. I'm just gonna say it like a poem now. It's better. As I came around the rear of my shield, every thundering beat of my heart marked quarter seconds. Each beat took an eternity, as if I was swimming through sats. The next two ponies turned, trying to bring their battle saddles around as I ran behind the pair, my floating pump action swinging to unload 12-gauge buckshot into the backs of their heads. One rolled, leaping wildly as the other fell in a more bloody fashion. Some ponies stink. I'm a fool standing here, expecting you to walk through that door. Moon night is shining through the darkness of night, and I know what's in store. There were more coming out of the rocks and shrubs. My barding took a pounding, the steel plates deflecting some of the fire, but not all. I kept moving, leaping at a unicorn floating an SMG towards me far more quickly than the others with their heavier saddles could turn. My magic reached out and precisely ejected the clip as he fired. I wrapped my forehooves around his neck and stared into his eyes, and unloaded 2 telekinetic bullets into his face. I know one day that you'll be back. One day you'll take the track back to my heart. Blood spurted past my eyes as I pulled him around, throwing his body with all the force I could muster into the face of my next enemy. Steam and guns and so many red bars. Flashes of light told me that Glory still wasn't out of the fight. The saxophone and the piano played in my head as my vision started to darken. As the hunters tried to deflect the tossed cadaver, my shotgun tore great bleeding chunks in his leather armor. Tonight you might be long gone, but as I sing this song, I feel my love for you is strong, as I wait for you. And I listened to the last chords of the piano, my body slowly clumped beneath me, and I slammed into the dirt. Foam coated my lips as I gasped for air. My heart no longer individual beats, but now almost a constant purr. Blood poured from my mouth as I lay there choking. Looking up at the gunners as they slowly moved in to finish me off. The final note shot off in my head, finished by Sapphire Shore's saucy little, oh yeah. The half-dozen or so remaining fighters slowly moved around me as I lay there, unable to even raise my head as my heart crashed inside my chest. I heard Glory struggling against 2 earth ponies who were practically on top of her, holding her down. I heard one of them mutter about paradise. I'm so sorry, Glory. From the middle of the hunters stepped an orange earth pony with a red mane and a lion cutie mark. He was dressed in one of the most elaborate battle saddles I'd ever seen. He wore a helmet with a pair of targeting goggles attached to them. His beam rifle showed heavy modifications that I could only guess were what had allowed him to shoot through me. Well now, looks like the old Leo Zodiac finally brought down security, eh folks? Bullshit, your goonies did it, he said as he turned to the other hunters. Told you, didn't I, that I'd be the one to take her down? He pointed a hoof at my pit buck. Get that off her, lickety split. One voice rose above the babbling phrase, dripping with contempt. Oh yeah, Leo, you're such a badass. The mayor said as the cocky smirk vanished. And the cocky smirk vanished. Through the dust and smoky haze approached a pony shape that seemed made of jagged steel. We're done here, freak. We don't need your help after all, he said sharply, turning to point that gun, as the newcomer slowly advanced. Something was definitely amiss, though. She didn't seem at all worried, despite being outnumbered with a beam gun pointed at her. In fact, she looked happy. She looked happy as me with a bottle full of wild Pegasus. Holy crap, that's happy. As I saw more, yeah, I decided that uh, was the last odd thing about this mare. At first, I thought she wore magical power armor like Steel Rangers. Instead, the polished steel plates formed a shining armor that covered not just her torso, but the exterior of all her limbs, chest, and belly. Along her back rose a ridge of blades that slowly scissored with each step she took. The helmet that covered her face was topped with this wide, horn-like blade, each hoof ending in curving metal claws attached to her horseshoes. Or each hoof ended in curving metal claws attached to her horseshoes, and something woven into her red braided tail gleamed. A number of blades were strapped to the outside of her armor. This had to be a reaper. Oh, Leo. I'm sorry I didn't make myself clearer earlier. When I said I was coming with you to find security, I wasn't after the bounty. I don't do bounties, she said casually, walking in front of the ponies with a sure little smile. She stopped. Okay, I imagine her voice as Harley Quinn. Yeah. 2D the reader makes her sound like gruff male. But no, I imagine her voice to be like Harley Quinn, or that the crazy chick that the Joker hangs out with, the Joker. She stopped, standing right in front of me as she looked at the hunters. Right, sorry, my mistake. And with those words, the buck gestured with his head. Leo's beam rifles fired, striking her right in the side as all the other guns roared, spraying the pale mare with a barrage that blinked off her and popped off her polished armor. She looked down at me and gasped for air. She looked down at me, gasping for air, and winked. The gunfire stopped as she grinned at the hunters. My turn! I could only imagine how much all this steel weighed. When she crouched, I anticipated a charge. Instead, the pale mare jumped into the air in a glistening steel arc. Leo turned to run without another word, but everyone else just watched her. A second later, 4-bladed hooves crushed one of the hunters like a baby rat scorpion. Things rapidly went downhill from there. And I admit, I can get brutal in a fight, but I was tame as a newborn foal compared to this. This pony in metal didn't fight. She annihilated all that came within reach of her hooves. I watched it hit from one of her hind hooves, stave into the side of a mare. She reared and utterly pulverized the face of a buck, with a devastating rakes of those blades arching from to her forelegs. Blades attached to her forelegs. When the rest got the clue to run, she didn't let them go far. That when she returned, she even carried Leo's twisted and broken beam rifle in her mouth. Spinning it aside, she sat on her rump, regarding me coolly as she dripped gore. Correction, dripped gore happily. Like I said, Harley Quinn. A small but important and disturbing detail. Hi, you really look a mess. She walked to one of the corpses and ripped open its saddlebag. After rooting around for a bit, she pulled out a bottle of water, twisted, and removed the top. Then spat the plastic cap into the brush. Stampede and Hydra? She asked in a strange, slightly slurring voice as her pink eyes looked down at me. Buck, steady. Hydra. I coughed. Wuss, she said with a snort as she held the water to my lips and carefully trickled it down my throat. Glory came limping out of the brush, her uniform glistening with blood. I started to try and rise, but she put a bloody hoof atop my head. Stay down. She looked at Glory. She'll live. Zodiac wasn't trying to hit her and to hit anything major on your friend. Who are you? Glory asked as she approached the armored mare. Some pony helping, she replied. But most call me Rampage. It's that certain something that makes me special. She grinned at the pair of us. Now, barring your heart exploding in the next 15 minutes, you're going to lie there and breathe. If you try to get up, I'll sit on you. You know a lot about chems? Glory asked, looking at me, looking a little more sure. Through trial and error, she replied as she looked down at me. Give her water if you've got it. I'm sorry, let's reverse the head a little bit. It's funny as hell. Glory immediately started digging in her bags as the armored mare grinned and looked down at me. Could be worse, though. She could be strung out on Dash. That shit's fucking obnoxious. Or Mentals. Even worse than Dash. So, what's the plan? Help me recover and then trot me to Deus? I rasped, not even bothering to try and stand. My nose bled from the thundering blood pressure. Oh, you think I'm after Deus' bounty? She asked with a sneer and stood. She turned sideways, dragging her hoofcloth through the dirt, as she grinned at me like some horrid hybrid of dragon and pony. Her tail glistening from the razor wire woven into it. Do I really look like a pony who gives a fuck about bottle caps? I carefully sipped the water for a second. Why help us then? The kindness of my heart? She suggested, pressing a chest to her hoof. I kept my look as level as I could manage. She snorted. Maybe not. Well, just be glad I wanted to help you. Not good enough, I said, as I forced myself to sit up. Even with my legs shaking so hard, they threatened to buckle underneath me. The last pony I trusted without finding out why they wanted to help us ended up killing a whole lot of folks who didn't deserve it. Why? I'm more curious what you think you're going to do if I don't answer. You can barely sit up, she said with a little smirk. I levitated my shotgun under her chin. To my consternation, she grinned. Go ahead, do it. I almost did. I've had bad experiences with one Reaper already. And last time I trusted somebody to help me, a lot of innocent zebra died. So again, why? I tried my best to keep my voice level. It took every bit of my focus to prevent the gun from shaking. She looked sour for a moment, then shrugged, her pink eyes staring into my red ones. Big Daddy Reaper asked me to. Happy? If you want to know why, ask him. The Reaper gave me a grin I'd seen plenty of times before. She looked like she looked all she needed was a deck of cards to shuffle. Oh, right. Oh, that is cool. Okay, end of this chapter. Footnote, level up. New perk added. Chemist. Chems you take now last twice as long. Skill note, guns, 100. Booyah! That was a good stretch. Okay. This chapter is over and done with. Now, I had something I wanted to say at the beginning, but I wanted to say it for the end, but now I can't flipping remember it. Oh yeah. Tomorrow and the next day is going to be fairly important for me, so I might not get anything up tomorrow or the next day. But Monday is Labor Day. Yay! So, guess what? Monday I will be doing non-stop reading. Well, mostly non-stop reading all day long. So if you have anything you want me to read, just leave a note or in the comments or something, get it to me as soon as you can. My email is midnightbrony@gmail.com. All lowercase, all one word, no special characters. Send me an email if you want anything special read, unless it's Klopfic, because I refuse to read Klopfic on this channel. Yeah, I'm one of those, bro. I'm one of those. Yeah. So, without any further ado, all of you have a good rest of your day or night. And if it is night and you are about to go to bed, then sweet dreams. And, yeah. Okay. Nightlife out.